Today we are going to study about physics and today we are studying general physics and the mechanic part of it. The first thing we are going to learn about is quantity and measurement. So what is a quantity and what is a measurement? So let's see what is a quantity. Quantity, and here in the window we can see it is written the definition as anything which is expressed in number or whose representation is totally numerical is called quantity, or in other words we can say anything which can be represented as 1 2 3 4 in numbering, or whose numbering is numerical, that means 1 liter 2 liter 3 liter, that is known as a quantity. And to for more clarification on this, we can see look at the examples, that is population, ages of men and women, weights of objects, etc. All these three quantities can be expressed in terms of numbers or numerical values. Such as population, we can say the population of this town is 100. Peoples are living in there, so that is a quantity of population in a particular town. And like so men and women's age, like I am 31 years old or I am 45 years old. A man is saying, that means that man is 45 years old, so that is representing the quantity of his age. And weights of objects means you suppose you have to buy a 1 kg sugar, so you can represent that in numerical values. So all these things, or all the anything, all the materials or uh, the things which can be expressed in terms of number or numerical value, that thing is known as quantity. And let's look down deep in this. So now look at physical quantities. So now we are going to look at what is physical quantities. Quantities expressed in terms of laws of physics are called as physical quantities. As the name suggests, we can see the quantities which obeys the, or which can be expressed in terms of laws of physics are known as physical quantities, such that weight or length or force, that that is all governed by laws of physics, and they can be expressed in numerical forms also. So these are known as physical quantities. For example, we can say mass of an object, length, force, speed, distance, displacement. All these things obeys the laws of physics, that is why they are known as physical quantities. And in physical quantities there are two parts. First one is scalar, and the another one is vector. So let's see what is scalar and what is vector. So first we are going to look at scalars. Those physical quantities which have magnitude only and whose direction is not taken into the consideration are called as scalars. So when we are going to measure something, and if that quantity only requires the magnitude, then that quantity is known as scalars. Or in other words, we can say the quantity which only requires the magnitude but not the direction is known as scalar quantity, such as mass, temperature, density, volume, electric current, work, etc. All these quantities does not require a direction to represent. They can only be expressed in terms of magnitude. So their virtue is only of magnitude. That is why they are known as scalar quantities. And so by the definition of scalar quantities, now if we look at the vector quantities, that would be magnitude and direction both. When we have to represent the direction as well as the magnitude, then those quantities are known as vector quantities. And the direction is represented with directed line segment, such as it written here in the bracket in the second line's last word. And they obey triangle law of vectors or parallelogram law of vectors. They, though the vector quantities obeys two laws, either triangle law of vectors or parallelogram law of vectors. These quantities, these vector quantities cannot be uh, mathematically calculated with our normal, addition and subtraction laws. That is why we have to use triangle law and parallelogram law of vectors. So now examples of vectors are displacement, linear momentum, angular velocity, torque, magnetic field intensity, electrical displacement, current density, etc. All of these quantities require magnitude as well as the direction. That is why all of these are vector quantities.